And 72% of the time the market goes up. And the answer came to me. And that's when I developed my chart. The answer came to me is because, just like Caterpillar, when they pull their money out, you get out. Whoa.
It's your daily dose of how to manage your money. And now it's time for Phil's Gang on the Off the Wall Street Network.
Oh, God. Are you nuts?
With your host, Phil Grande.
Bye. And welcome to my podcast. Thank you for joining me. So, there's the war back on with Iran. And then I'm expecting a headline to say something like, oh, we're back to negotiating. We have a wonderful, beautiful contract we're both going to sign maybe tomorrow or next day. Oil's going to go down, market's going to shoot back up. It's unbelievable. But here is what's unbelievable. How many people got crushed on Friday's 1,000-point drop? On Tuesdays, again, another plus 1,000-point drop. Everyone was mistaking those drops as crashes. That's because the jibber jabbers on TV that you listen to, they, again, are not going to tell you the truth. Those were not crashes. Those were corrections. Now, I'm going to help you today identify when is there a correction and when there is a crash, so you'll know what to do. When there's a correction, you're going to play the market much different. I hope you learn how to short than if it's a correction. But first, I want to play this cut. Go ahead, Will.
The average 401k is up almost $30,000 since I took office.
What are you, nuts? Come on. I don't know who's feeding him this stuff, his staff, the BLS, obviously, because they come up with the numbers. But that's not the truth. Not at all. 401ks are not up 23,000. They're not up 30,000. For the average family, that's not even close. Now, why? Why is that? Because the numbers get distorted. The BLS will distort the numbers. They take a handful of very wealthy households that have 1 to 3 million in a 401k. A handful. Not many people have that in their 401k. So, because there's just a handful, and then they mix that with the average worker, that pulls those averages way up, distorts the averages, pull the averages up to the sky. Example, a millionaire, his 401k, say has $1 million. Well, it'll go up $100,000. Okay, but what about the 401k average worker? The guy's making $65,000, $75,000, he and his wife. What happens? Well, let's say he's got $40,000. It'll go up to $42,000. That's only $2,000. So the average becomes $23,000, but nobody gets $23,000. No one gets that. What are you, nuts? It's insane. So nobody gets the $23,000. So this is why these averages they're giving you, oh, look at the 401k, we're up, everybody's almost up $30,000. It's garbage. What are you, nuts? It's total garbage. Now, the real number is the median number, and it is tiny, minuscule, almost nothing. So, let's take the real workers, what they make. Take average age 35 to 44. They have about 45,000. Average 45 to 54, say 65,000. 55 to 64, let's say they have about 88,000. A 10% market gain on, let's use 65,000, is only 6,500. Not even close to the 30,000 or 23,000. They've been thrown around both numbers. It's so distorted. I don't think Trump knows that. I don't think he would do. Why would he do that? He doesn't need to do that. He's not running for president again. He's not running for the Senate. Why would he do that? What are you, nuts? I just don't think he would. But that's not the point here. The point is that the BLS has distorted the number. They're taking the number, throwing it out there, and that is not good for you, me. It's not good for the market. The top 1% to the top 10% own most of the 401k wealth. The top 1% owns 34%. What are you, nuts? Of the 401ks. That's insane. The top 1% owns 34% of all the retirement assets. The top 10%, that's nuts. They own 70% of all the retirement assets. And the 1/100th of all of 1%, they own like 89%. The small guy gets crapped on. So when you hear the next time the president, play that cut again.
The average 401k is up almost $30,000 since I took office.
Are you kidding me? So the next time you hear that, please do me a favor and don't pay attention to any of that, because none of it's true. It's just not true. Now, as I said, I don't think he knows it. I'm sure he just gets the numbers. And if he does know it, why? Why would he doesn't have to do that. So anyways, let's move on. So that was pretty disgusting today. I didn't like that at all. But let's get to the stock market. I told everybody on Friday, I said, this is not a crash, okay? I told everybody on Tuesday it wasn't a crash. And it was proven on Friday it wasn't a crash. Because Monday, they clawed the 1,120 point drop back. Tuesday, we dropped 1,150. That was already clawed back. Why? Because the computers kicked in. When you don't have institutions, the 12 biggest institutions, especially the 6 biggest institutions, if they're not participating, they're not buying or selling, then volume gets down to nothing. And when you get very, very low volume, that's when the computers kick in. And they start dumping. And when they're finished dumping, it stops. And then the computers will start back up and will start buying the stocks. And that's why they go right back up and wipes out the loss. So people who were buying and selling and panicked, they lost a lot of money. You don't need to do that. So here's what you need to know. First of all, NVIDIA, Amazon, Google. If we're having a crash, you would see them tanking big time with big, heavy volume. So watch for those 3. That will tell you got a real crash. They'd be tanking. But you have to have heavy volume. Now, what do we mean by heavy volume? Well, first of all, you have to get the yield, the spike towards 4.75. 4.50 is the kill zone. Once we enter that kill zone, we're in quicksand. As you get closer and closer to 4.75, that's when the crash will hit. But here's what you need with a crash. This is what everybody missed last Friday and then Tuesday. Talk about volume. Okay, there's no crash without big volume. So think about this. This is how it works. A correction volume is 4 to 6 billion. Do you know we didn't even have 4 to 6 billion on those 2 days that we went down almost over 1,000 points? High volume is considered on the New York Stock Exchange. Correction is 4 to 6 billion. High volume is 7 to 9 billion. Crash volume has to be at 10 to 12 billion. So until you see 10 to 12 billion, you have no crash. Until you see those 3 stocks, collapse on big volume. You will have no crash. You will have no crash unless IWM, small mid-cap stock symbol, turns red and stays red. The 10-year yield has to stay in the kill zone, but it can't be at 4.5 or 4.55. It's got to be closer to 4.75 to have a crash. Credit spreads, this is the big one. You're not going to get a crash when the credit spreads are at plus 93. You have to have plus 250, plus 350. We're at plus 93. Were you nuts? So, again, the kill zone is very important to remember, 4.5. But you've got to remember, as we head towards that 4.75, that's the real problem. And you've got to have that big volume. And to get that volume, you need to have the big boys in there, the institutions. But why aren't they in there? Well, because they parked a lot of money already in the big chip machine stocks, the stocks that make the chip machines. They got in there right now, I think something like, I think it's like 5-6 billion, and then they got in the other, I think the chip machine, it's about 5 or 6 billion in that group. So here's how it works. So the chip machine makers will get hit first. ASML, AMAT, LRCX, and CLAC, they always do. They will get hit first. Second, the infrastructure stocks, they will get hit next. They will get hit next. Those are the infrastructure stocks. Those are SMCI, MU, MRBL, and NVIDIA. And then the chip machine buyers, the companies who buy the machines from the four companies, those guys get hit after. So that's how it works. But we're not seeing anything like that right now. And people are just, again, getting all wigged out. It's a crash, it's a crash. Well, stop turning on that TV, because when you turn on TV, you're listening to those dopes. You listen to those dopes, okay, on CNBC and Fox Business, these people. They read cue cards. They don't know what the hell they're doing. And if they do, they're not going to do anything that's going to help you. They're not going to give you good information. They want to benefit themselves. When you listen to CNBC, you listen to Fox Business, the information you're getting, and these guys that come on air, all these guests, they pay to come on those shows. They're salespeople. They're selling you. Why do you think every time when a guest comes on, the first thing they say, oh, I want to introduce Joe Suckface. Guess what? He's got a portfolio of 155 billion. Oh, wow, I'm going to go take his number down. I'm going to go listen to him. They don't, well, why don't they tell us how well he's doing? So today what happened, I sent out an alert this morning, real early, before the market opened, and I told my gang members, if we're going to have any buyers showing up, it's not going to be because yields are high, okay, and they're scared. It'll be because they are looking for safety. So they will get into the same stocks, consumer staples, utilities, healthcare, banks. These are cyclicals. But they're not going to do much. And they didn't. They dropped. So we had all these people going into the cyclicals and getting crushed. And you got to learn how to sell short. You got to learn how to sell short. Don't listen to these TV jibber jabbers. So on my charts I was following today, and if you look at the charts, you'll see the safety stocks that everybody got crushed. So everybody jumped into the cyclicals. So again, they got the only ones that were doing pretty well were the banks, but at the end of the day, they are falling apart. Then they got into industrial cyclical. XLI is the group, but stock Honeywell, it got crushed today. It broke through the 200-day moving average. Then they jumped in for safety this morning, and industrial stocks. Caterpillar, get me in Caterpillar. That got crushed. In fact, that's going to probably end up being a good short at some point if it breaks the 50-day moving average. So everybody's getting in the wrong stocks. So, and then they got into Boeing. That's an industrial stock. So they're getting into these cyclical stocks. They're getting into industrial stocks that are cyclicals, and they got crushed. They all jumped in Boeing, thought they're going to be safe. Boeing got crushed. Then they went into healthcare. Oh, healthcare is always safe. Let's get into healthcare. They went to UNH. Now, UNH did okay. So look, please remember, you will know when a crash occurs. Join our gang. We'll explain it to you. We'll show you. This is what you need. So every time we get a hiccup, you're not making a wrong decision. People got crushed last Friday and Tuesday. It wasn't necessary. You got to know what makes the market do what it does. And we'll show you, we'll help you. Check it out, free for 10 days, philsgang.com. See you on the chart.